Good morning. We are coming near the end of our video devotional series over the Beatitudes. Next week, I'm going to kind of do a comprehensive overview of a summary of everything we've talked about. Really do my best to show you that literature illustration that we've been discussing. Today, however, we're going to touch on the eighth Beatitude. It's found in Matthew chapter 5, verse 10, where Jesus says this: "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." There's three things we really want to touch on in the scripture: persecuted, righteousness, and kingdom of heaven. We're going to talk about them in reverse order. When Jesus says the kingdom of heaven, he's talking about the present and future tense here. So in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 3, where Jesus says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," that's an entrance into the kingdom of heaven. That's a beginning of what God has for you. That's the beginning of the understanding. And what we talked about was poor in spirit means a perpetual need for God. It's understanding I perpetually need God. And when you come to God and you say, "Look, Lord, I'm unclean, I'm undone, I can't do this on my own, I need you now, I'm always going to need you," that opens the door for you to enter into the kingdom of heaven. But now in this portion where you have been filled with God's righteousness, and now you have right relationship with God, this is kind of a culmination. Jesus says, hey, when you're persecuted because of this, when people come after you because of this, when people want to be like you because of this, then here's what's going to happen. You are now living in the kingdom of heaven, all that God has to offer now and the whole future. That means one day this heart's going to stop beating. This body's going to stop living. What happens next? Well, we believe as Christ followers that we are going to spend eternity in God's presence, in God's kingdom, in the kingdom of heaven. So that's what we're talking about. Now, what we want to talk about is this word, is this phrase righteousness, because you're persecuted because of righteousness. What is righteousness? It's simply right standing with God. And listen, we talked about this too, where we empty ourselves of all that trash inside of ourselves, right? We come to God and say, "Look, I know I need you." We come to God and say, "Gosh, there's a sin in me. Get rid of that." We come to God and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't be meek. I'm so full of pride." So we get rid of all that stuff. And now we're empty on the inside, and we hunger and thirst for righteousness, and God says he'll fill us. Jesus says you will be filled. And what are you filled with? You're filled with right relationship. That's what righteousness is, a right relationship with God. And when you have a right relationship with God, people take notice. So that's what this persecution is about. Now, the last word we're going to talk today about is the word persecution. It's a very interesting word in the Greek. It means to pursue, to run hard after. So there's really two kinds of persecution that you could be looking at. And so right here, I'm going to give you today's main idea. And I want you to really pick up on it. This is what we have for today's main idea. When you have a right relationship with God, you attract interest and invite aggression. Let me say that again. When you have a right relationship with God, you will attract interest and invite aggression. These are the two types of persecution. People will come looking for you in a positive manner if your heart is right with God. If you are an example of somebody who has a right relationship with God. Because there are people in this world, there are people around you, there are people around me who are on the cusp of giving their life to Jesus. They want to give their life to Jesus. They just need one more reason. And that reason, more often than not, is you or it is me. It is also the same reason that people kind of step away from God. When they see people not living a right relationship with God, they will say, "You know what? This isn't for me. I was close, but they're not living right." But there's others that say, "You know what? That person is living for God. That person has a relationship with Jesus. That person is somebody that is an example to me that I can be like." And so what they'll do is you have an opportunity, I have an opportunity to attract an interest in the gospel. Attract an interest in people who want to be like Jesus. Now, the other persecution is this. You will invite aggression. If you're living right for God, the enemy doesn't like it. The devil, Satan, the schemer, however you want to call him, he hates God. He hates God's children, and all he wants to do is destroy people and destroy everything that God has worked for. So what's he doing? He's coming after you. He's coming after you with lies. He's coming after you with attacks. He's coming after you with both guns ablazing, and he's coming down hard. And that's what persecution is. He's running after you. He's attacking. It's full of aggression. It's full of anger. It's full of hate. And when you have a right relationship with God, you invite that. I had a friend who always said it like this: "You show me a Christian with no problems, and I'll show you a Christian that Satan's not afraid of." That's powerful. If the devil's attacking you, it's because of one reason and one reason only. He's afraid of the impact you're going to have. Listen, when you have a right relationship with God, you will absolutely attract interest, and you will absolutely invite aggression. Here's what you got to know. Here's what you got to remember. Either whether you're attracting interest and it's positive, or you're inviting aggression and it feels like everything's coming down on you, Jesus says you're blessed because the kingdom of heaven belongs to you. God bless you guys. Hey, love you, praying for you. Puff and I are here for you. You know where it is. Every week, same place, down at the bottom of the screen. Email, text, contact me if you need me. We love you. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.